Okay. So, LJ, what do you know about this TV show?
There's elements that I knew a little bit about. I mean, everybody knows about Superman, right? Everybody knows about Lois and Clark, at least on a basic level. And the show was because I've seen Smallville before, so it kind of reminded me of some things that happened in that show that I remember. But it was a good show. The
Yeah.
first episode, like an hour and a half. It was. I guess that's how most are. Most pilot episodes are, right?
Yeah. But you
Yeah.
never watched this in the 90s growing up.
Never, never. I
So,
know. I know of the actor and the actress are familiar.
yeah,
I know the actor is Dean Kane, who plays Superman, but I
right.
don't know the girl.
It's Terry Hatcher is her name. And
Carrie, is she the
Terry,
rich? Is she the rich high
yeah,
girl?
she's on one of the
Right.
housewives. Yeah.
Well, the one that comes out of the pool and her tops.
Oh, no,
Oh,
no.
no, that you know what I'm talking about though.
Yeah, Fast Times at Ridgemont
Fast
High.
Times at
Yeah.
Ridgemont High. Okay, that
Yeah.
she looked like her, but it wasn't. Okay,
No, it's not her. So let me tell you, I used to watch this show in the 90s growing up, and there's a recording somewhere of a tape, a cassette of like my mom telling me that I'm not going to be able to watch this show if I don't get my chores done.
really? Hey,
Yeah.
that was most kids grow. I mean, hell, that was every kid growing up. You know, you can't do what you want to do until you take care of what you got to do.
Yeah. All right. Well, you're listening to and my name is Casey Jones, and with me today is my co-host LJ Solar. LJ, how are you today, man?
What's up, everybody? Doing fantastic, man. Thanks for having me
Good.
on. This was
Of
a
course.
great idea, by the way. Great
Yeah.
idea. Yeah.
Well, what we're going to do today is just kind of pick apart something from the 90s that I grew up with, fitting in the theme of capes, tights, and lightsabers. It's going to be the 90s TV show Lois and Clark. So, the new adventures of Superman, or as Lex Luthor will say later on, Superman.
Yes.
So, you'll see it. There's a lot to unpack here. So, we're going to get started right now. First off, let me just say, I absolutely love this version of the Superman logo. Whenever they show it in the sky and it's like that, and the music plays, it just does something to me.
It's good.
Yeah. So they have
it's your movie.
they have old school credits and everything. And so we open and there's an overhead shot of a cab, and the cab is like super ambiguous. It like looks like it could be from the 50s or whatever. So
It's older.
yeah, so you can't really pinpoint it in time, like when it is.
No, no.
But all of that is shot on a backlot in LA.
Really?
Yeah, there are shots
What?
of them in the city. Yeah, there are shots of them in the city, like when he's
Of course.
over the shoulder shots of them, but all that's kind of in LA, I think. So yeah, anyway,
What?
yeah. Yeah,
That
so
is, of course, when you watch it's, I mean, they have to make you believe that you're
yeah.
in the city, right? Well, they did
Yeah.
a damn good job of that because I would have never thought that.
And a
Some of the
lot of
shots
that.
throughout the movie, and I think it's because it's older, you can tell,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
like, okay, that's not, in today's standards, it's obviously older, right?
For
But
sure.
okay, go ahead.
Well, it's like untouchable, I think. It's kind of got a little haze around it. It's like Superman the movie. It's got a little haze around it. But anyway, so a lot of that backlot is still standing. And you can go to where they shot all this because they've shot other movies there, and there's sometimes yeah, you can see it in other movies. But anyway, so
What
now
in the world?
yeah, so now we're in the
I guess that's
interior
cool though.
of the Daily Planet, and right away comes in a good-looking mustachioed man who is revealed right away that it is Lois Lane, and she's been undercover. And right away, she's my favorite Lois Lane. Like
Yeah.
she is an intrepid reporter. She's after the story. So anyway, she pulls it off. And maybe
Well,
Perry
right before that, right before that, she gets out of the cab and like ninja kicks that door shut. Like I thought I
Yeah.
was like, why is she kicking so hard? But anyway, just thought that was funny.
She's pissed. That's so
Like I'm getting
funny.
out of this car. I got the story, yo. Nobody can mess with me.
And we got Perry White, and this may be my favorite version of Perry White as well. So Lois and Jimmy are at
Okay,
the Daily Planet.
who's Perry White?
He's the editor. He's the editor. So we meet the cast
Oh yeah, the older
immediately.
guy. Yes,
Yeah.
I recognized him as an actor. He's a really good actor. I
Yeah.
do like him. Yes.
He's Perry White. He's the editor in chief. So we immediately meet Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, and Perry White, the supporting cast of Superman. So and Perry says
Oh,
to Jimmy, never underestimate the power of a good obituary.
he's like, hey, go work on the little shit. I got some big shit to fry. Right?
Yeah. So then we cut back outside, and this is probably shot in LA and also cut within the back lot. So we see this Clark suitcase, CK, and so he saves the lady with and with the handprint on the bus. So what did you think about that?
I was like, of course, right from the get go, they got to draw the audience in. This has got to be like, all of us, and then of course, right, the bus driver loses control, and of course, there's a nun and a fucking baby.
Yes. No, I have a list. I have a list of people that are there. Okay, so let's see. We have nuns. We have an old lady, a mother with double strollers, two kids, and a guy in a brown plaid jacket. So but if you look when Dean Cain runs, like he really ran in between those cars, like, and they were just braking. There's a scene where he runs through it, and so it's just he could have broken his legs there. So
could have gotten hurt.
anyway, like I said earlier, I like the hazy look around there. Yeah, so the lady is like, hey, he, and of course nobody listens because they're too busy.
There is evidence of his big ass handprint.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see. Do we have the Yeah, we do. Okay, yeah. So if you look, I think that the same bus that Clark gets out of is the RT-36. That's the tag on the bus that he gets out of. And then later on, the bus that's out of control, can you guess what the tag is on it?
RT-36.
RT-36, yeah, because they had the budget for one bus.
Oh no! You know what? I did not notice.
Yeah,
I did not notice that.
All right, so now we're back at the Daily Planet, and they just let anybody in here. Some guy just runs in and says,
I was like, where the fuck is the security at?
Hey, get a little closer to your mic as well, just as you were. That's good. That's good right there.
Right here. Good right here. Like at this level too. And then whenever I'm a little
and
calmer.
you can scoot over a little bit this way. Just a tad.
Oh,
there you go.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because we're recording this video too, right?
It may not work out as video, but anyway. Okay, so yeah, they just let it.
Okay.
Well, we'll edit this out. So anyway, they just let anybody in here, and they they just keep oh yeah. So he tells them that the messenger is going to explode. It's just this space shuttle that's going to go up. We find out a little bit more about later. But one thing that got me, something stood out for me in this scene is they let her keep the package that he came in.
Right. That's right. Because she's like Holt standing there with this package. Okay, so nobody's gonna inspect this for a bomb.
Yeah,
we're not gonna evacuate the building. Here you go.
Exactly. So anyway, we see that something's wrong with the messenger on TV. And then we get our introduction to Cat Grant.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the sexy
gossip reporter. That's her position. Yeah. She's part of in the comics. All these people, they're all in the comics. Anyway, yeah, so we get our introduction to her. So Clark goes and she's looking all right, she's looking okay.
Yeah. And that's because I didn't even think that far back. Like, yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff is based on comic books, right? And then I didn't even consider that.
And this is odd. I will say that this is odd that we don't ever start with Krypton in this. We just pick
Which
right
one?
up from Krypton, where he's from.
Oh yeah, yeah,
The
from where the
planet
fucking
that
originated
Superman
from,
is
right?
from. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I probably shouldn't cuss, huh?
Oh, you can do whatever you want. It's
Oh,
okay.
okay. Because I
Uh,
cuss a lot.
so it's the planet that he's from, but we don't really start with that most of the time. You
No, we
kind of
don't.
do.
There's no history there. It just jumps right into him
Yeah.
going to the Daily Planet.
So he goes to the Daily Planet to try to get a job, and the music swells, and it shows him walking in, and I love it. It's just great. And he's having a meeting with Perry White, and Perry's really calm. And then
Yeah.
Perry picks up the phone, and he's like, "Oh, hell!" And he says something about if they can't get Carolini's to deliver it, then find somebody else. And he's talking about food.
Oh, I
And
see. I didn't even catch
And
that.
he's like, I had to rewind it to see what he said. And he's like, oh, hell, if they can't get Carolini's to deliver it, then find somebody else. And he hangs up and he's like, oh, I'm
See,
sorry about that.
I knew he was upset about something, but I did not pay. I thought it was work related, like if you can't do that, then get somebody else, and
Yeah.
then you don't really go back and pay attention to the
Yeah.
details. That's crazy.
So Clark suggests that Chief Perry White should try Pavlov to calm him down.
That's right.
I love
And later, I noticed something later. I did
well,
catch
let's
that
not get
detail.
ahead. Let's not get ahead. So, anyway, he shows off, I guess, some of the places that he's written, some of the Garabino Gazette. And this kind of like shows his travels because Clark really has traveled. He's supposed to have traveled the world before he comes to Metropolis. So anyway, I love how Perry is like, this is the greatest newspaper in the world, and we've got fingers and everything or whatever, and important things, whatever. And then Jimmy comes in and it's like, okay, Chief, I just fixed the horn on your golf cart. And he's like, Jimmy, get out of here. And he's like, but it's all good to go. Jimmy, not now.
And
Oh,
then it
yeah.
trips me out. He just barges in there and doesn't
Yeah.
like knock. Okay,
Yeah.
this is obviously my boss's office, and he's in a meeting with the door shut. I'm just gonna walk right in there.
He says, we are dedicated servants of international importance. And then, yeah, everybody just barges in and everybody just comes in. So, but that's how it is. Just get used to that. Everybody just goes in everywhere. People just show up at other people's houses. So I love the part where Chief is like, Lois Lane, meet Clark Kent. And anyway, Clark overhears Chief tell Lois that he wants her to do a piece on a theater that's being torn down.
That's right. That's right.
He's like, I don't want to do this. So Clark hears that, noted, and Chief just says he doesn't have anything for him right now. And he gives him a nice firm handshake, which I thought was great. All right. So
and you know what? I was actually very surprised that he didn't get the job. Because I thought, okay, for sure, this is going to be part of the movie. Obviously, he's going to just walk in. He's got an interview. He's going to get the job, but he got rejected.
He got rejected. So let's see. Then we're at the Hotel Apollo. And let me just say that I love his parents. His parents in this are amazing.
They're cute, They're like they're your typical loving mother and father that worry about you anywhere you go, right? Yeah, they're cute. They're a cute mom and dad.
Yeah, they sure are, and they continue just to be this rock for him. It's really great throughout the series. So we get his light bulb is flickering and he flies up, and this is the first flying effect. What did you think about the first flying effect of him flying up to fix the light bulb?
It was cool though. You know what? And they actually, with I guess with the tech that they had to do this and how they thought about doing the shot, I thought was really cool because it seemed like legit, like he was really floating up. It was a little unstable. Obviously, you could tell, right? It wasn't as smooth of a transition as you would see in today's movies, right? But he gets up there and he fixes it, and then I love how they rotated and in between shots, dude. That's got to be super freaking difficult to do, to transition the shot just right so it makes it actually look like he's going from one side, like on the side of the wall, and then jumping down to the floor.
Oh
right?
yeah.
Like that's
Oh yeah.
that's some good producing right there.
Well, I assume that they did that they had to have built like a Inception kind of style room that turns on itself for him to walk up like that. And
Oh, you
and
know what? That's cool.
and
Yeah, so it's
so
all one shot. See, I thought it was a couple of different shots.
yeah, so I don't know that. I don't know
Oh,
that.
okay. Well, all right.
But I think that that's probably how I think that's
Yeah,
probably how they did
and
it.
just as a quick note here, I didn't know that either. So do we have to put a disclaimer in there and cite where we're getting this information?
Yeah, they'll I'm sure people will let us know. So anyway,
Right. In the comments, dude, it's gonna be the you suck.
yeah.
Don't ever.
All right. So now we're at Lois Lane's apartment, and Lucy Lane is there. And Lucy Lane was an original cast member, and she was an original cast member for 3 episodes, and then she just was I
Just
guess,
disappear.
yeah, she came up later, and I think she was played by another actress. If we get later on down the,
What?
yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah,
And you know what? I just saw her as the supporting actress, right? And to she's got to have somebody to go interact with when she gets back to the apartment, right? Who's that going to
yeah,
be? It's got to be somebody, right?
yeah.
But that's interesting. I didn't again as part of the comics, obviously, right? That's where this character came from too.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. And let's see.
Like I
We
should be showing my mic to look
no,
professional too.
it's I think you're out of focus a little bit.
Am I?
There you go. There you go.
Is
just,
that better? I don't
just
know.
stay right
I don't
there.
know.
This may not even do anything with this. Okay, and also we learned that Lois is 26.
Yes.
Yeah,
Very, very. Yep. Because she says it because they're
yeah,
talking about dating or something. I mean,
yeah.
I'm trying to get focused here.
You're all right, man.
Let me do this.
There you go. There you go. All right, so
Okay.
Lucy just wants Lois to meet a super guy. And
Mm-hmm.
I love that Lois watches soaps and cries in her popcorn. And
Yeah.
later on, Rocky Road. All right. So anyway, Clark looks into the theater, and there's a bunch of people protesting that they shouldn't tear it down. And he uses his X-ray vision for the first time that we see, and he sees an
Yeah,
actress
he does.
inside. And they're about to start the demolition with this lady inside. I guess no one's gonna go in there and look, and no one can hear her doing this, whatever she's
Hey,
doing.
hey, another moment. I gotta save the day. What's going on? Let me just make sure nothing's going on in the building. But hey,
Yeah,
he stopped it too. That was pretty cool. I think that was cool. Not the fact that she was in there. I think that was part of it. But I
yeah,
felt like he felt like he was doing the right thing too by not allowing the demolition to continue.
yeah. And he uses his heat vision, and I think does it go through? I don't remember. There's sometimes where the heat vision goes through things and it doesn't melt the outside, but it melts the inside.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You could accidentally kill
So,
somebody just by doing X-ray vision.
well, it's like there are times like in some of the movies where Clark will just have his glasses on and his heat vision will just go through his glasses. And it's like, anyway. So and he goes inside and he sees the old actress and he lets her finish her monologue. And I love that he says that he's just a fan. And he
Yeah.
knew the play. He knew that it was the Cherry Orchard. Uh,
Yeah,
anyway,
you start to figure that out too. That I mean, obviously traveled the world. He's very intelligent, like how
yeah,
he knows it. He knows his stuff.
he's well versed. Yeah, and I so this is the first time that we've ever seen this in HD because like even the DVDs that were released for this weren't in HD. So you
No,
can yeah, and so on HBO Max, some of the sound effects are missing. I hear, and
so is 1080p HD or so 1080p is HD. So it's 720p. That's what they were used to being shot in.
yeah, and I'll tell you what they I think they shot this on 30. I have it at the end. I'll tell you. So
Oh, really? It was shot in HD because you can tell, man. The
no, it
the
was shot
quality
in
of the picture.
film.
Yeah, the quality of the film is really sharp
Yeah.
and crisp.
And you can
It's
see
older.
specks of dirt in the theater. Like in,
Yeah, it's pretty clean, man. Yeah, when they're filming and stuff, you notice a lot of really good details.
yeah. All right, so now we are back at Clark's apartment again. And uh I don't know what I've written here. Anyway. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Okay. Here it is.
I don't know what I've written here, but
So
let's
when he's
continue.
in front of the computer, you can tell that it's going to be an effect shot because immediately it loses quality. Like it goes down, like where he starts typing real fast. They must have shot
Right,
that.
right, right. Yeah, yeah.
It goes down in quality, and that's kind of a
I see. It's because they sped up the shot too. I think that's how they
exactly.
did that.
Yep, they
Yeah,
filmed it so fast so they could speed it up, and it loses quality once it's printed and then
yeah.
printed again, like a copy of a copy, because they're using real film back then. So that's why it looks
Back in
grainy.
1962 or something.
1960, that's whenever this aired in color. Yeah. All right. So he writes his piece, uh and he turns it in, and we see Jimmy say his first line of the series that he says smooth. He says it a lot. And he calls him CK, which is going to be a recurring thing, and then he says welcome to the Daily Planet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and if
Yeah,
you
my
can,
cat's
your cat.
she's gonna start meowing here in a little bit, but I'll let
All
her in a
right.
little bit.
We're welcome to all animals here. And so, if you can, there she is. If
Can you
you,
hear?
yeah, for sure. And if you can believe it, the something is wrong with the messenger. Oh my god! And something happens, and Chief makes Lois take Clark, and the rapport immediately begins between them two. The banter back and
Yeah,
forth,
yeah, yeah.
and they are just their chemistry is just off the charts. So anyway, we find out that Dr. Platt's his name. I had no idea. I didn't know who he was.
Dr. Platt.
Yeah. Lois really takes charge, and there's a lot of 90s sexual and early 90s sexual innuendo. So,
Definitely. I heard, yeah.
and Dr. Platt lives in some, I guess, rat infested warehouse.
It's like I know, right? It's like well,
Yeah.
it's because he was so hard at work, man. He was a scientist, Joe.
Yeah,
That's how scientists live, They're
that
not,
is. He
they
says
don't
that
give a shit about anything else. They just care about their work.
they drugged him, and he tells Lois and Clark that uh heating, I have written here, heating devices and cooling systems, oh my. Basically they switched everything out so it was
Didn't
going to
work.
explode. And he said he gave the report to Dr. Barnes, and he shows a picture of his wife and his kids, and they explain how we see that his daughter is disabled, and that he explains how they can cure diseases and do stuff like that in space. This is early
Right.
90s, so knowing it, I had never heard of this before, but
Mm.
some cheesy strings, and he plays it up. Good acting. So
Yep.
Lois and Clark
And
just
he's a good actor
he
too. I've
is a
seen
good
him in some
actor.
other shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Lois and Clark just go to the shuttle. So
Right.
yeah, and we see the same out of focus shot of the shuttle with the background that we'll be using for the rest of the episode here. And
Right.
so
It's the same thing.
yeah. So anyway, we go to meet Dr. Baines. In case you didn't see that it was her in the TV earlier saying that everything's going to be fine.
Yep.
So they want to see the wreckage, but she says no to Lois. But Clark says, "What does he say?" He's like, he no exceptions." And she thinks it over, and she says, "Okay, maybe." So
I'm trying to
Lois,
recall. I'm trying to recall that. What? What
she's
happens there?
Lois is asking them, "Hey, can we see the wreckage? We want to see what happened." And she's like, "No, no press allowed."
Oh yeah.
And then
Okay. Now I know where we're at. Okay, I
and
got you.
Clark
I got
comes
you.
up behind her and is like, "No exceptions." And she is
You
like,
know, it's
she's like, "Well, maybe." So it's Lois Lane, known intrepid reporter. No,
right.
rando behind her, good looking rando, and it's just like, so yeah, he just because he's good looking, she's gonna let him in.
She's like, yeah, you know what? Give him the access codes to
Sure.
all my secret
Yeah.
labs, and go ahead, just go explore.
And here is my social security number.
Right?
So
It's like, let me give you all my shit. Wait a minute, this is a top secret government facility, and you're
yeah,
just
it's gonna let these people in. She doesn't know who he is. Anyway, so they ask about Dr. Platt, but Dr. Barnes dismisses them, and she says that he gave a report, but she doesn't remember. Or they say that he gave a report. She says she doesn't remember if they gave her a report. Uh, yeah. Further, let me see.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So anyway, then we leave, and Lois, more rapport between them, back and forth banter, and I like how Clark is like very attractive, young for her age,
Yeah.
and Lois is
Right.
just like, ugh, ugh,
Right.
and if
But
she does,
like feminists much?
if she doesn't care, like why,
Yeah, right.
so anyway, Lois is looking fantastic in this scene. Just I've got to say. So anyway, back at the Daily Planet, uh the cat is ready to go to work. And she sees Clark for the first time, and the sexual tension that actress
Man,
puts on is
dude.
crazy. And Clark just barely makes it out. And
When she took off her the shirt or the whatever she had over, I
yeah,
was like, I was like, that is very work appropriate. I really
yeah,
appreciate that.
it was the 90s,
She
I
looks like a
guess.
fucking stripper, man.
It was the 90s.
Right in front of work and in front of everybody.
Yep. So anyway, we find out that Lois is on the lookout for a date. And her date has the flu or whatever. And so we look across and we see her look across the newsroom, and there is Clark.
Of
So
course.
yeah. I just love how she is just so abrasive with him. Uh he just wants her to say it. He just wants her to ask him to go
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
but she's like, "Well, do you want to go or not?" And yeah, I guess I have written here Clark wants to go to bed. I don't know.
To what?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's maybe he says he wants to go. I don't remember. So anyway,
He wants
uh
to go to bed.
they
Maybe.
say that it's the first one-on-one interview with Lex Luthor. She wants to nail the
That's
first
right, because she's
one-on-one
trying
interview.
to do that. She's trying to have her first one on, right? Because he hasn't given a one-on-one interview
Mhm.
ever.
So I'd like to point out that I'd like to point out that Clark at this point wears glasses for no reason. He's not
Right,
Superman
because he's
yet.
Superman.
He's not
He doesn't
Superman
need
yet.
glasses.
He doesn't need
He's
glasses.
not.
No, not at this
No,
point in
he's
this.
Superman already. He's like got superhuman strength and
But he hasn't displayed himself and become like the symbol of hope. He hasn't put the
oh,
costume on.
yet.
Yeah, yeah.
I see what you're
So
saying.
what
I
I'm
see what
saying,
you're saying.
why is he wearing glasses right now at this point in his life? Why is he wearing glasses? And he wears them at home when we're gonna see it. Okay, so anyway,
Mm,
Clark
that's a good
changes in
point.
the alleyway, and a homeless man sees him, and he gets caught. And Clark pretends to try to tiptoe over to the homeless man, and he
Yeah.
gives him a 5, and he says he's some kind of angel as Clark just flies off in 90s fashion, listening
Hell
to
yeah.
90s
He
jazz fusion. What did you think of the music right here?
that I thought that I don't know. I don't it was it didn't seem like it went well together with what was happening.
It's all
I'm like, this needs to be a bit more
doo-doo-doo-doo.
majestic here. Like he's an angel.
Yeah.
And it wasn't happening that way. But it was still a cool scene too because it was funny. You know, there
Yeah.
was the comic element because the homeless guy was just like, of course,
Yeah.
everybody that witnessed that, like, what would you say? You know?
Yeah. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I was gonna say maybe about the glasses because he takes off the glasses whenever he's trying to fly. Maybe that's kind of his like disguise. It comes up later. We'll talk about it later. So anyway, green screen landing. He just jumps and just lands in the middle of this like the screen. You can totally see that it's green screen.
Green screen landing.
And so back home, Jonathan says that he's wasting away because Martha is not cooking anymore because now she's an artist. And this is an ongoing
That's right.
theme. Yeah, if we ever watch this show later on, LJ, this is an ongoing theme. His mom is an artist now since Clark has gone to Metropolis. It's the 90s. So,
New York. Is this supposed to be New York? Metropolis?
yeah, it's pretty much like New York. Yeah, everything's New
Right.
York.
Okay.
So they talk about Lois and
Well, you know what? They describe New York pretty accurately because that place is fucking crazy.
yeah. And I had to rewind it. So I had to rewind it back to the green screen thing. And it's in HD. And I didn't see this before where he talks about thanks for repairing my jacket, Mom. That thunderstorm over wherever really tore it.
Yeah.
And if you rewind, when he lands, his jacket is actually torn.
Oh no, I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
No, I didn't even realize it was much of a storm until they said it. And
Yeah.
maybe it's just because I wasn't or I didn't pay attention to that.
Storm
those
over
details.
Cleveland. Yeah, it says storm over Cleveland. So I guess we know that somewhere you have to fly over Cleveland to get to Kansas from wherever Metropolis is. So that kind of gives us some sort of, or maybe he was just flying around. Anyway, so another green screen.
Where he's trying to get to Kansas. If you're in New York, I don't know. Maybe you fly to Cleveland Airport and then you fly to Kansas, but you'd think there would be a direct flight.
Yeah, well, he's flying.
Why didn't he take the direct fly route?
I know. He doesn't have to land at the airport.
He took the additional plane ride.
Yeah. So another green screen shot of Jonathan and Clark outside. And this is decent acting by Dean. I've got to say, he says he doesn't really fit in and all that. I like that little line and the way he shrugs his shoulders. And
this when he's talking to his parents.
yeah, and then he kicks the rock into space. You know.
Oh, that's right. He's talking to his dad. He's outside.
That's
He's
probably
talking to his
pretty
dad.
dangerous. Just kicking the rock into space.
I thought about that rock coming back down. I was
Yeah.
like, is it like bullets when you shoot bullets
Yeah.
in the air that they can kill you, dude? They
Yeah.
come back down and hit you. You know, it's like,
So that's not funny.
you know
Sorry.
what he
No.
probably did? He probably caused them that was the meteor that killed the planet millions and millions of light years
Could be.
away. That he
Yeah.
kicked.
Could hit any planet and just totally fuck it up, you know? It could hit any planet, any asteroid, anything, and just fuck it up because like it just kicked it into space. So
You're like, okay, yeah. You're like, it can
Anyway.
destroy anything.
they throw in the line that they don't know whether he can have kids or not. I guess this is anyway.
That's right. He gets all the he's like, I want to start a family and
Yeah,
have kids. And his dad was like, that might not be possible, dude.
I like how, but Jonathan says he comforts him and says, "We'll find a way, boy." Okay,
Yeah.
very good with the Kents. I love anything that they're in. They just brighten up a scene, I think. So now we're at Lex's
It's good
party.
acting for sure. You know, it's not so to be honest, when I first put this on, I was like, this is gonna be cheesy.
Yeah.
That's what I really thought. I really thought it was gonna be cheesy because older movies like that, the series, or to me, I think they're cheesy. And then when I started watching it, and I did pay attention to like how good the actors mesh, and how the quality of acting, because that's, I mean, something you pay attention to, right? When you watch a movie, that's what makes it not suck, because you believe the characters.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed the show. I really did. Like, now I want to watch the next one. Like, I
Yeah.
want to know now. But anyway, we'll get back to that.
No, that's great. I mean, it, there'll be more. There'll be more. So anyway, Alex's party. I love the lighting and his entrance, the lightning, everything that really as he comes in, and Lex just he knows everybody by name, and he's shaking everybody's hands as he goes down the stairwell. Lex is, and
Yes,
he just
I did
knows
not
everybody's.
expect
Yeah, and
him to
then
look like that.
yeah, and
You know how I pictured in my mind
who?
the dude that plays the Lex Luthor in Smallville.
Oh yeah,
For
yeah,
some reason, I was
yeah,
like, wait, this guy's old.
yeah.
Because I was so used to the Smallville Lex Luthor.
John Shea, he is a fantastic actor, and every
Yeah,
scene he just chews it up, man. He's so good.
he is good. Yeah,
Yeah, there's some sort of
I agree.
buzzing underneath. I don't know. It's in my apartment, some sort of thing. We'll edit it out. So anyway,
What's buzzing?
yeah, some sort of buzz underneath my apartment. Anyway, so anyway,
Yeah.
so anyway, yeah, Lois calls out to Lex. Dun dun dun. And she says, Lex Luthor, he, never you hadn't returned my calls, and Lex says he's not gonna make that mistake again. So
Yeah.
anyway, I like how Clark flies up a little bit just to see a little bit better. Do you think he flies up to see a little bit better? Or do you think he's like caught up in the moment?
No, I think he wants to know, like, okay, is she really falling for this guy? That's what I think. That's what
Yeah.
I think. He's like, okay.
He just doesn't
He's
give a
I gotta
fuck.
know.
He just doesn't give a fuck about flying around. He just flies. He's like, fuck it.
I'm like, and I guess he goes back. This is the scene where he's trying to listen to Lois talking to
To
her
Lex.
roommate, right?
No, 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 no. This is at Lex's party when Lois is talking to Lex. And Lois, Lex walks down the staircase. Anyway, we'll almost get and anyway, he flies up, Clark flies up a little bit just to kind of
Oh
hear.
yeah, no.
And so,
Okay, I know. Okay,
yeah.
now I know what scene you're talking about.
And so, like, is there nobody behind him? Does he just not give a fuck? He's just like, there's nobody. He's just in the middle of a party, and he just flies up like, nobody looks.
But
Anyway.
he's like, at the same time, dude, it looks like he's freaking like mesmerized.
Yeah, but do you think that what I'm getting at, what I was asking, is do you think that he is flies up a little bit to see what Lex and Lois are talking about, to hear them, or do you think he flies up a little bit because he's caught up in the moment of like, oh, Lois is so pretty?
That, I think it's the latter, dude. I think
Yeah.
it's that. I think
I
it's
don't know.
like, because I don't know. I just see it in his face. He's like, oh my gosh, this is the most beautiful woman on the planet.
I wouldn't be surprised. She
like
is. She is she's looking pretty nice right here with her curly hair. So, and that dress, she looks fantastic. And Clark looks fantastic in the tux. Everybody's looking great. Clark's hair, it's a little bit on the longer side. If you notice that.
Like almost mullet.
Yeah, almost. So anyway, Lois and Lex dance, and Lex asks Lois to dinner, and Clark walks up and cuts in.
Dude, they're basically like making out, and he
just cuts in, and Clark says, I don't know, something about a Nigerian princess. I don't know. Anyway, they just flat out just sneak into Lex's office. There's like, they do not give a fuck.
if so, he comes in there and catches them.
Yeah.
If I saw that in my house, I'd be like, guards, get these motherfuckers out of here. That's what I would do.
Yeah. So we see that he holds them up, and he holds them up. He holds up to Clark Alexander the Great's sword. And he says a little something about Alexander the Great always getting the high ground. So that may or may not come back into play later. So anyway, Clark immediately
know what
knows.
you're talking about.
Clark immediately
caught that.
knows that it is Alexander the Great's sword, and Lex is pretty impressed with this. So he takes them out, and it's pouring down rain, and he says he loves the view because everyone in Metropolis has to look up to see him. But if you look in the background, it doesn't look like that building is the tallest building in Metropolis.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Because I know you see other buildings that are equal or bigger size.
Maybe he's just on a middle floor. Who knows? Maybe that's where his office is. Maybe his penthouse is way up there. I don't know. But he doesn't really, you always just see him in his office and it kind of turns into a bedroom. It's weird. So anyway, Lex reveals in the middle of the party, he just takes them down there, doesn't bother. He says, oh, you're going to want to see this. And Lex has built a hologram. As a kid, I remember thinking that was the thing he was showing. He was like, look, I built a fucking hologram. But no, he's built a station, a space station of his own.
Right.
So I was like,
this is what he's ready to
yeah, I was like,
to the world.
whoa. I was like, you built a fucking hologram. And he's like, no, the hologram's not what I'm showing you. I'm using the hologram to show you that I built a space station. Do you understand? And I was like, but that's a fucking hologram, man. That's badass.
What year was 94?
I think so. I have it written down. I
Something
believe
like
so.
that.
We'll edit it in here.
We'll
it
say
is
early 90s, but you're
it's-
right. You see this most badass technology being used, and he's like, that's not what I'm talking about. This is not what I'm trying to show you. I'm trying to show you I built a fucking space station.
Yeah. So everybody's buying into this, but of course, Clark. So anyway, the party ends, and we cut to a dangerous looking snake. And this is one of my favorite Lex moments in live action. We see the snake, slither in, and it comes up and it puffs up, and John Shea acts it out. And, he puffs up against the snake, and the snake, retreats. Do you remember that?
Yeah. And the whole time, I thought, somebody's trying to kill this motherfucker already. And I thought it was that guy, being from a foreign country. He's like, I'm gonna take this dude out, take off, get all the power. But that wasn't the case.
No.
He was like,
will that be all, Mr. Luther? Yep.
That's his workout.
But if you look, John Shea, this is in such HD, you can see a tear roll down. Did you catch
real?
that? Yeah, that's real. I mean, that was he probably because he didn't blink, I guess. But
they have it only on one side.
Thank you, John Shea, and thank you, HD, for letting us see the dedication that this man put forth just for that scene. And not to mention the smoking. I mean, let me tell you, that motherfucker is inhaling that fucking cigar.
And
he is.
And he goes... I was like,
yes, he relaxes.
Choke on that shit.
For those of you who can't see, he's putting his hand behind his head in a relaxing pose, like he's leaning back, about to get a foot massage. So anyway, the smoking, yes, he just inhales the shit out of that. All right, so now we're back on the back lot, and it is raining.
We're back on set.
Yeah. Lois pulls up and she says that she's been up all night. And then we get the whole manhole scene where they say that someone has fallen into the manhole. Clark disappears for a little bit. Yeah. He comes up and lifts him up and then runs back and that guy's the worker is like, he's like, that man saved me. And Clark's, you can see it in
dirty.
You couldn't really see it on the TV. It was just like, what? But yeah, but she, of course, Lois calls him out for it. She calls him out for bringing, he needs to bring a change of clothes. So
Yeah. She's like, do what I do. Bring a change
yeah.
of clothes to work.
And so Clark plays it off just by saying that the guy is delirious. So that's how we get away from that. So
Of course.
so then anyway, back at the Daily Planet, Jimmy again calls Clark CK. It's an ongoing thing. And he mentions Star Labs, which is something in the DC universe. It's where a lot of stuff happens at Star Labs, like a clone of Superboy of that is Lex's DNA and Clark's DNA was made at Star Labs. So nice little comic
I
book
heard him. I
reference
heard him
there.
say Star Labs, but I didn't know that's like what you
Yep.
just explained. It's an
Yeah.
actual place in the
Yeah.
comics. It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, it's nice when they reference the source material, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, Kat is at it again, and she says this is the second time that she has had to, you know, ask someone, and it's 2 times too many. And she pulls on Clark's tie, and we see the first of Clark's wacky little ties that we will see throughout the series. I like how Lois asked Clark if he's been catnapping. And I love the shot. Yeah. I love the shot where he leans on the thing and he says, I am all yours. It's fantastic. It's a great shot. And we will use that in the title sequence later on as the show goes on. So, back at Lex's apartment. If you can believe it, who is there? Dr. Bane or whatever her name, Baines.
Yeah.
And
chick, and you can tell that they obviously have like been hooking up, and
they have been doing the dirty because she is wearing a nightie. And I like how the henchman is just hanging out. He's just there. Lex is wearing an ascot, which is kind of a callback to Superman the movie where Lex wore an ascot. He wore a yellow ascot. I think it was a yellow.
I didn't catch that detail.
Yeah. There's a lot of little nods. So anyway, he says he has that if they should dispose of Lois and Clark, they're just gonna straight up kill them. So Lex says, right? Yeah, Lex says no.
He's like, no. He's like, I got other plans for the chick. All right,
special interest and may have use for her. And this is the first time I think that he says seduced. I think that I have it recorded here. If not, then
that's right, because he's like, I can't seduce. She cannot be seduced like other women, you know, or something.
Yeah, no, it's like I don't have it here, but he says seduce, and the way he pronounces stuff is fantastic. So anyway,
let you out, or you want to come up here?
Hi, Kitty. You can have a starring role. So anyway, they're working late back at the Daily Planet. Clark and Lois are working, and Lois wants Chinese food. So Clark says he knows a place. And so we cut to like,
I did not expect this, dude. I expected him to fly to a Chinese restaurant in the city, right? Not to China.
Yeah. So we get a Flesher style kind of like it looks like the Flesher cartoons and like kind of like Indiana Jones where the map, you know, we see him where he flies. We don't actually see him fly. Just kind of a little icon.
You zoom out and it just traces the path he took across the ocean to another continent.
She brings it there. He brings it there, and she says that they're out of this world, and she just loves them. And they eat their fortune cookies. And just little known fact, I believe that at this time, fortune cookies weren't popular in China. They were an American thing. So I think.
I don't even think that. I think they're American. It's American made. I don't think there are fortune cookies in China.
And so, like,
there.
If you can believe it, wowza. Clark reads Chinese. And she calls him. She said, "You are a strange visitor." Or no, said you are. She says, "You are a strange one," which is a nod to Strange Visitor, which was his prequel, or not prequel. I don't know what it's called. The thing before they said his name. Strange Visitor from Another Planet. So, and
Guess you
Lois
would call that
tells,
a prequel.
yeah, Lois tells Clark not to fall for her. So they decide that they're going to go over there and check out Dr. Platt. But if you can believe it, oh no, he is dead.
He got marked, dude.
He got murdered.
And the way that he was murdered, man, that was
It's awful. Yeah.
it was, dude. But you know what? Like, it's extreme. That's what that's the word I was trying to come up with.
It
Like,
is. It
he
is.
wasn't just shot. He wasn't just found on the floor. No, this dude was continuously being electrocuted.
Yeah. I'm going to get some water. Keep talking. Just keep rolling. You got this.
Okay. Keep rolling. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a small intermission. Yeah. Good
All right.
job.
So, anyway, let's see. Where are we? I'd like to point out that Clark has a curl here. We see that he has a distinctive curl as Clark.
A little bit. Yep.
Yeah. So, and they try to plan it as suicide. And one of the cops, he's a throwaway cop, and he makes a barbecue joke. And Clark stands up for him. And this is the first time that we see the strong side of Clark in this world that we're creating, show up, where he really stands for truth. You know, and he just feels guilty because he feels that they should have done something.
Yep.
So they decide they're going to go nap for a couple hours. It's like 4. She says she'll pick him up at 7, I think. So back at Clark's apartment, we have the shirtless scene where he opens the shirt or opens the door.
That's right.
And she says, "I thought you'd be naked, ready." And
yeah.
So, anyway,
that's when she gets that's when she's like, "Ooh la la," you know, like, yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, before that, he's on the phone with his parents. Let's see. His dad brings up the workman. His dad was talking about that, and he asks his dad, "What am I supposed to do, Dad? Just let him die?" And you know,
that's right.
Also is echoed later on in Man of Steel. And the right answer would be no, do not let them die. But in Man of Steel, the answer is maybe. So, yeah, so that's a divisive point among a bunch of fans. So anyway, his mom again is wonderful, lovely. His mom asks about his clothes. How are your clothes standing up? And Clark has the idea that he needs some sort of outfit. So that's the first time that he says he needs something.
His dad's like, that's a good idea, son.
An outfit, yeah. And so then anyway, this is where Lois knocks on the door. He hangs up and she says, "I thought you'd be naked. Ready." And so Lois comes in and sees that he only eats really junk food.
But he has the Man of Steel body.
Wonderful.
Right.
And so he does a quick change.
Hey, isn't that? Hey, your body looks like that. Mine does too. So
yeah,
what's the difference?
I'm glad that this. I'm just got a filter on here. If this ever airs video, yeah. But anyway, it's a quick change. He's only in there for maybe 45 seconds, if that. Yeah. And she just dismisses it. So anyway,
yeah, I counted 43 seconds. And 16 milliseconds.
Thank you for being on top of that. I know I can count on you on these kind of details.
You're welcome,
that's the kind of content that you guys can expect going forward, folks. So we find that Dr. Platt's death will read suicide, and his wife and kids are there. They don't want him to end up that way. You know, they don't want his legacy to be tarnished, and they ask if there's anything they can do. And we get the first of many Dean Cain lip purses. Let me see if I can get it to focus here.
Oh, yeah.
He does that a lot. Yeah, he'll do that a lot. So anyway.
Hold on, let me let my dog out. Come here.
Animals galore. So
hurry up, dude. You only have like 2 minutes.
Is that what it says? Oh, so anyway, anyway, we get it's fine, don't worry about it. Anyway, Dean mouth purse, Clark showing his goodness, and we see the first thing of Lex Tell. And we say that Prometheus will proceed and not Lex Luthor's thing, one of the people of high in the United Nations or something says that. But if there's any problems, then they'll cancel.
It's
So
all official. It's
they,
like,
yep.
we need to contact UNICEF.
And Lex just destroys everything. So anyway, so let's see. They think that they've cracked the case and that they can write the story. And Clark asks for dinner, but Lois says that she has plans with Lex. And let's see.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Clark calls her a snob, and she sets her rules that she never gets involved with folks.
Mhm.
Blah 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 blah.
She wants to get to the story first before anybody. Yep.
Yeah, all that.
All that.
So in Lex's apartment or his office, just kind of in the little nook there, they just wheel in a desk or a dinner table. Lois looks amazing again. Lex looks great. Lex has oranges in the background. If you look, it's just weird. He's got a little crate.
I didn't notice that. No.
He's got a little cart full of oranges, and he just says he wants pleasure. He just wants oranges and pleasure. I love the lighting. Let's see. Yeah, Lex puts on.
Recording in progress.
LJ is eating a sandwich now. Okay. Anyway, the music change, and that's the Lex character assessment.
Tostinos rolls, actually, which are really good.
Oh, okay. Tostinos. Tostitos.
Whatever.
Rolls. Yeah, whatever. The music
That's
change.
gourmet right there, baby.
It
That's
is.
what we eat every day. That's
With
like
mustard.
lobster, and like creme de la creme, baby.
That's good on the intestines, I bet. So anyway, the music changes. I love the music in this. Some of it's pretty cheesy, but sometimes they do a good job helping a scene that may need some good help. Just in case you didn't know that Lex was bad. And Lois leaves without dessert.
He's good, dude.
He is. He's a good guy. He's just trying to help everybody. So anyway, they take an old car back to Lois's apartment, and Clark just happens to be there, I guess. It's not creepy at all. And Lex gives Lois, pronouns pal, the sleaziest kiss.
You know what, dude? Like right before he leaves, right? Because he drops her off at her door.
Yeah.
And then yeah, dude. And I can't believe she accepted that shit. That's what I was like.
I know.
This chick, dude.
So anyway, but she gets in and
I'm disgusted.
Fucking pissed because she's
disgusted.
But she's not mad at that. She's mad. She says because she blew it. And anyway,
yeah, because she wanted more information to do a one-on-one with that dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this is where this dude is hanging outside of the damn.
Because he's there. He's there in the apartment or outside. He's watching. Why is he there? I know he can hear everything.
How do people across the way not see this happening?
Yeah. He's just hanging out.
Freaking...
Yeah. But Lucy says that Mr. Wright could be right out there, as Clark is, we just said, creeping outside. And I love that flying shot of him taking off and
he does like a
little loop-de-loop. Yeah, I think he does a loop-de-loop.
Yeah.
So anyway, back at the Daily Planet, Perry wants one thing, and that is cold, hard facts. Now, I love how he's just...
Right, because he goes back and he's like, let me see. Yeah. Let me get this straight.
You want me to run this because you guys have this. And he's like, oh, but he was probably murdered.
Right. Dude, yeah, he lists off all these things. Yeah. I mean, to a person that doesn't know what's happening, he's right. He's absolutely right.
Yeah. And he's like, well, Chief, it's just facts. Cold, hard facts. Now go out there and find me some. I love it.
But you know what? I applaud that.
Lane Smith.
Applaud that because do news agencies today? Do they give you facts all the damn time? No, they give you what sells.
Perry White is fighting for the truth and the justice, And that's where
Good job,
also
Perry Wells.
Perry White. Perry
If
White.
you ever listen to this,
I doubt it.
fan fucking tastic, baby.
Yeah. Yep. Let's see.
That's
Okay.
the real shit.
So Clark says he's gonna go check out Dr. Baines, and Lois gets mad, and Lois said she's going somewhere, and when Jimmy asks her where, she says nowhere, and then Jimmy says I'm coming too. So Jimmy and Lois are off to nowhere, and then we cut back into the office.
He's got to be there to back her up, dude.
Yeah, Jimmy is. So we cut back to the office, and we see that Chief is putting some papa leaves in his mouth. Chief is putting papa leaf in his yeah. You like that?
Yes. Sorry, I didn't hear what you said. I was waiting to catch on what you were saying. He opens up this box and he's like,
yeah.
like,
It's
I'm
great.
to get this shit, dude.
It's great. So I don't know if I should bring this up right now or later. It doesn't really matter. I'll bring it up at the end. So anyway, now we're back at the shuttle, and if you can believe it, again, Lois and Jimmy are just sneaking into this motherfucker, and Lois realizes that they're working on a phone.
Security.
Yeah, exactly. They just go in. They're working on a phony shell. Jimmy just picks the locks and says he got it from a bum rap. And here comes Dr. Baines. Dr. Baines calls Lex. Lex switches phones. I love how he's just walking and he's just like, what you... He hangs it up and picks up an evidence. You know, just wonderful acting from John Shea. You know what I mean? Did you see him where he switches phones? Like he's got on a cell phone and he hangs it up and then he hits a speakerphone and doesn't lose the call.
Right,
like in the 90s.
Right that's the next call.
That was in the 90s, dude. And I was like, whoa, that motherfucker has this like cell phone patched into his house phone. That's nuts.
That's how he does it.
Anyway, so Lex switches phones. Yes, he says the final installment to Dr. Baines is in the helicopter, and there will be no loose ends. Not to worry. That's what Lex tells Dr. Baines. Dun dun dun.
Like, everybody's gonna get marked and knows about this except for you and me. All right.
But Dr. Baines, if you can believe it, has other plans. So let's see. They find the original ship.
Right.
Is
So they get
there?
busted,
they
right?
they find the original hull, yeah. And then the henchman, who looks like one of my old bosses, dude, from Lubbock. Anyway, he takes out
Very
Jimmy,
deep.
but Lois has got purse action damage, and she knocks out that henchman with her purse. But Baines has gun action damage, and she pulls a gun on Lois, and then the henchman, my old boss, comes up from behind. And just
And you know what? That little she's got to be 5'7", 5'8", 140 pounds, something like that. Takes out this like military style dude.
Yep, for sure. But little background on Lois Lane. In the comic books, her dad was a military general, and so she was raised on the road.
I can see the gangster personality,
Yep.
that she has. Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, back at the Daily Planet, they're having a staff meeting, and Lois and Jimmy are gone. So they decided to start without them. And if you listen, Chief says, "Okay, about the sex change operation on the royal family. I don't think we should go with it. About the sex change operation in the royal family. I don't think we should go with it." That's one of the headlines that he tosses out. And then Clark
I didn't catch that. I didn't catch that in the show.
Yeah. And then Clark gets up and he's about to leave, and he's just like, well, I'm just gonna go look for him. It's awkward. And he does a little he goes into the closet there, the supply closet, and this is a nod back to the George Reeves TV show, the black and white one, where he would always go into the closet to change and he would jump out the window.
Okay, yeah.
So,
I can see that, and I didn't know that was tied to an older version of Superman. That's pretty cool.
It's a
Yeah,
little
because he's got to
homage.
go in, like, he's not just going to do it in public, right?
Yeah, and like back in the radio program, he would be like, well, I've got to go in here and duck into the supply closet, and this looks like a job for Superman, you know.
Man, yeah.
Anyway, so let's see
That's true.
here.
That's cool.
Yeah. Oh, I love Chief comes in and asks Clark how long he's going to be in the closet. I love this this little interaction with them, and he's like, "Are you coming
It's-
out? Oh, yeah, of the closet. I mean, yeah, I follow you. Okay. When? You know, it's just super awkward. I don't know anything about it. It kind of goes on a little too long. What do you think?
It does. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree because I was like, okay, just leave already and let him do like, let him go, man. Like, he said he'll fucking be out of there in a little bit. Like, but at the same
Yeah.
time, I'd question that shit if I was a boss too. I'd be like, this is weird.
There's
What
no
you
cell
doing in here,
phones.
yo?
Yeah. There's no cell
Yeah,
phones.
right.
There's no phone in there. What's it? He's like, "Did you make your call?" And he's like, "Not yet, sir." And he's like, "What the fuck are you doing in here, dude?" And he's like,
You know, just this is why I come to chill, baby. That's what happens.
I just picture Ernest. Anyway. All right, so back at the lab, Clark comes down the steps, just the same steps that we saw Lois and Jimmy go down. They are reusing that same set, probably shot the same day. So we see his X-ray vision again. There's a door. No one says anything, and they're tied up, and Jimmy is passed out. Yeah. And oh yeah, he comes barreling in. He busts the door in. The door goes flying across the room.
I enjoyed this scene. This scene right here.
Yes.
Yeah. And
The
then
door.
he's like, if you don't let them go, I'm gonna. And they have their guns drawn, and they're like, he's like, oh, I can't say anything because they don't know who I am.
Yeah. But there is
Even though he can
nobody.
take him out like this. Mira.
Yep. Okay. So it just be like that. So yeah, I love it. I love it. But I mean, no one says anything about the door. You still laughing at that? No one says anything about the door. Nobody. So then they're tied up. Jimmy's just passed out. They don't even tie him up. They're like, man, let's not even waste change on
No,
this guy.
right.
What if he gets up? So Clark, of course, has he's like, I've somehow managed to, and of course Lois comes in, fuck things up again. She says mess things up again, sorry. So yeah. I've got one question here.
Gotta be dramatic.
Why didn't anybody call the cops?
I
You
don't
know?
know.
If they would have just called the cops, one cop,
Yeah.
just anybody.
This would have all been over.
But you know what? They probably would have died. You know why? Because no one can see this. So anyway, Lois is like, mess things up again, and I love this character development between Lois and Clark, where she tells him that she's messed up
Mm-hmm.
all of her 3 rules. You know, she's headstrong. She gets the job done. But they have a great moment here. This is a great moment between them two. Terry really cries.
She's vulnerable. They're both vulnerable. Well, she's being a lot more open. She's vulnerable, but she
Yeah.
feels comfortable telling them that. I'm sure.
Because she thinks they're gonna die. So, but she really cries there, and it's awesome. She's a great actress. Anyway, the Dr. B lady, I can't remember her fucking name. She says something about seizing the high ground. Oh my god. Which of course
right, yeah.
is a
He references what Lex said earlier.
Star Wars reference. Oh, sorry. No. Yeah. I thought that's where you're going with that. Yes, of course, what Lex said earlier. That's right. Where he tells him I have the high ground. Anyway, let's go on. Yes, it's a reference from earlier. And then she leaks the chemicals that they're going to die. She's like, okay, God, it's a shame that this shit had to happen. We're going to leak this. And it's just going to go.
It's
The
gonna
bloom.
explode.
But like it leaks so fast, there's no way that they could get out of that in time. So anyway, that's what I noticed. I was like, oh my God, it's like 33 seconds later, they're tied up and the other people are already out of the building in the helicopter on the roof ready to go. It's like, man, no, taking off.
That's true. That did have that sequence of events happen rather quickly.
Yeah. And we get the wonderful shot of them being jumped and flown away from towards the camera, and the building explodes while hiding them, which is going to be part of the sequence. This is going to be something that's going to be part of the title sequence for a long time. I think, I don't know if maybe all the way to the end. Right before, as he's flying out, it's Lois and Clark. Anyway.
Oh, okay. I see that.
Yeah, on the title sequence.
Before the episode starts.
Yeah.
The recap.
Mm-hmm.
Or
So
maybe
anyway,
that's not what it's called.
well, yeah, it's the intro is what it's called.
Intro there.
Yeah.
I called it a recap.
So anyway, Clark says that the force of the explosion must have carried them here. And we see what is a grainy shot of a helicopter, and we see it explode. And then we see that it's on Lex's television. And as a kid, I was like, that sucks. I remember as a kid thinking that shot sucks. And then I was like, oh, but it's on his TV, and everybody's TV sucks. So
Like, this wasn't cool.
yeah. I always just thought it looked a bit weird. And they rewound, and then you could see the explosion where they cut, and there's no helicopter, and it's just flame. I don't know why they did that. They kept rewinding it and showing us the effect. If they let it go one time, the 90s eyes would have been like, okay, fuck it. I'll pass it. But if they kept showing it over and over, where Lex rewinds the tape. And Lex says, no loose ends. Turns out that Dr. Baines, she was the loose end.
Marked, yeah.
She was a loose end. LJ, do you know that? That's what
She got
LJ
marked,
said
yo.
after he slept with her. He said
I was
she
like, damn, this she was in a helicopter and then it blew up. And I was like, well,
yeah.
that's what man, you know what? You think you're getting the good end of the deal, and you're
Yeah. Anyway, back at the Daily Planet, there's a big New Year's style party, and Jimmy gets asked a question if he was scared by all these good-looking 90s girls. And anyway, Perry says that they've solved the launch and they're set, but no reporters are allowed anywhere near the launch.
No.
But Lois is cooking something. You can tell by the way that she is looking. She is cooking something. So Lois and Clark make amends. Let's see. But she threatens that if he mentions anything, that she'll kill him.
He's like, your secret's safe with me.
Yeah. And he tells her that she can trust him, and she says she's heard that one before. I love that line. All right, back at the launch site, we're ready to go, and Clark is trying on the costume idea, the costume montage.
Yeah, the whole
Yes.
It's funny because that's a great scene because
This is a great
him and his mom having fun trying to figure out
Yep.
what the costume's gonna look like
Yep.
while he's there.
Now I have a list of a few here. There is the barbarian, Flash, sort of I mean, they're all variants. They, sort of a barbarian, the Flash, but with a hat, I guess. Captain America, sort of, but with a yellow and sort of a Green Lantern-ish.
It does kind of look like those other characters that we know so well.
And then the music swells up, and it's that I need a hero. I'm holding up. I don't want to sing it too much if we get a copyright. Anyway, I don't know how this works. Anyway. So,
it's all like super 80s workout song, like he's trying all these on.
But let me tell you, man, when he busts through that door, and I'm sure that had to have been like the 97th take, of him coming through there. But I will say,
you know what? His physique looks really good without the the prosthetics or whatever they use to make Superman or Batman look like he's just super freaking ripped and he's just made out of nothing but muscle.
I
It's
love this costume too. Sorry, didn't
yeah.
mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, but no, that's I mean that I agreed. Like it was a good fit for him,
Yeah.
and it made it. I mean, it was 100% natural. You know, like I said, yeah,
Yeah. It looked the proportions of the shield to me and he's rocking the underpants and I think they look fine. The cape length is good. I love the boots. Um yeah, let's see. And
yeah. It
she
was a good costume design for sure.
yeah, just cuz sometimes they get the proportions wrong of how big the S should
Hmm.
be and everything and I just
Or even almost the suit looks futuristic,
too
like
much.
Spider-Man, like in the Marvel series, right? Where it looks
Yeah.
super futuristic. Like,
And
this is natural. This is what
the
it would really look like.
original thing was his mom made his costume using the
Yeah.
blankets that he came in the spaceship, and like he would have to help her thread the needles and shit like that. So that was the original where his costume came from. His mom made it. So I love that. And
That's cool. I didn't know that.
speaking of his mom, Kay Callan, who plays his mom in this series, is so good in this. She says that's one thing's for sure. No one's gonna be looking at your face, which I think
Yeah.
that line is delivered so well. Uh, she finds the S from the blanket, uh, and she holds it up, you know. And anyway, like I said, I like the sock boots that they had earlier. They showed him pulling up some red sock boots for some reason. I don't know. I like that. Uh, I,
That's what he that but that was part of the original costume, right? Because they look
mm.
like boots to me.
Well, I'm
Not
saying
sock boots.
in the montage they showed him pulling up some kind of red sock boots, or they were
Oh,
just socks pretty much. But I kind of like the way that looked, and it was kind of the same sheen instead of going. You know how the red then it's a leather boot. You
oh
know,
yeah, no,
like
yeah. It looked the transition of the materials was nice. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I like how they find the S in the blanket. Let's see. How did she make those red boots though? Did she have them there? Did they fit? These are things I want to know.
Hey, no, they ordered them off of Amazon.
Yeah, dude. No such thing. No such thing back then. They were in the country anyway. I bet he could get boots. He could do anything. So
He probably
anyway,
just flew and went and it was back in 15 minutes with some boots from like Italy.
anywhere, yeah. More about Ma Kent. She's just great. She says, "Your folks would be proud of you. We sure are." I think that's a wonderful line from her. Clark says he's not sure about the cape though. So finally, he takes off the glasses, and we get the swelling of the theme. Uh, and they show Jonathan Kent, and he's looking at the TV. And I love the lighting that Clark walks in, and you can see him. And the ratio S, like I said earlier, is perfect. Anyway, I like how he's like, well, what if they're asking Clark, what if someone recognizes you? And he says, I don't think they will because it won't be me, right? And he like takes off the glasses and they're like, oh, okay.
Like they're like, damn, that was a badass disguise.
Yeah, they're just like, okay.
Like, that's how they're not gonna know. That's badass.
Let me tell you, and if you're not on board from this point, you better get off the train.
Right.
So anyway, because it only
Not
gets
gonna
crazier
work
from
so
here.
much.
So, but it's kind of like a golden age explanation, I guess you could say. Like, uh, they could say there was an era that said that Clark could like shift his face a little bit to make it where he looked different, kind of as Superman. Yeah. And like he can vibrate his face at a certain so like pictures can't really be taken of him back in the golden era.
God, that's gangster, dude. I
Yeah.
didn't even know that.
Yeah, man.
He's like, I'm Superman. You can't take a picture of me because my face is vibrating so fast right now, but I'm cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so then we see again the same static shot of the space shuttle again that we've been using throughout the whole episode. And
Have the same shop. Be like, oh, you want
yeah,
to save some money? Yeah.
yeah, we'll just use this one. Nobody gives a fuck. All right, and Lois, my God, is just sneaking on board. And Lois just locks herself in a room with no helmet, no padding, and this was I have written in my notes here. This was clearly before 9/11 because you can't even get onto a plane, and Lois is sneaking onto a spaceship.
He just casually has on the same exact suit as everybody.
Yep.
Has a green ticket.
Yep.
Apparently, that's the security.
They're like, all
to
right.
get on. You don't have
What
this
about
green ticket,
names?
you can't get on.
What about names? So we got names and photographs just of our. Nah, it's cool. They got a ticket, man. We're letting these motherfuckers on.
I know. He just goes into some. What do they have? These chambers just open to anybody?
Yep. And there's like a just like something you would have in a golf, not a golf, but like in a go-kart or something like that. So let's see. Thank God she happens to be in the exact same room that the bomb is in. Jeez, if she wasn't, that whole thing would have exploded. So anyway, she undoes her little go-kart safety straps as the ship goes up. And so Lois just randomly, she's just cutting wires. She found some bolt cutters that some poor bastard, some technician just left in the room. Some bolt cutters. Yeah, that's not going to fly and hit someone in space. Anyway, so she just starts cutting.
She's like, I'm going to fucking just pick some random wires and cut that shit.
Exactly, just cutting random wires. Yep. Okay, so the first disappearance, Jonathan turns around and he's gone, and the door closes, and we see him fly off with the cape. What did you think of this flying shot of him flying in to the I guess to Houston? We're in Metropolis, baby. Right? No, we're in Metropolis, baby. That's where all this shit's happening. So anyway, when he's flying, we get the wonderful, it's a bird, it's a plane, looks like just some guy in tights and a cape.
And they throw stuff at him, because they think he's lying.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, it's true. Anyway, I love that suit. I love that suit again as he enters. And Lois is just like, I love how Lois is just like, get away from that. Don't touch that. What the hell's the matter with you? And she's just like, and he just picks it apart and takes apart this little chip and just he eats it. I love it. She, after everything, they come out and she's like, "There was a bomb. He ate it." And Dr. Platt's daughter, Dr. Platt, yeah, he's good. He doesn't know. He doesn't know this. This is what gets me. He does not know that he doesn't know. Have you ever eaten a bomb before, Clark? You could have. He could have exploded. Anyway, how do you know this? Anyway, we just assume, as Lex would say. Anyway, Dr. Platt's daughter comes up, and she says that she likes his costume, and Clark says, "My mother made it for me," which is kind of a recurring thing. He says that again in the show. Superman and Lois now on the CW or HBO, wherever you can get it now. In the first episode, when he first appears, he saves a little boy, and he's like, "Cool costume," and he says, "Thanks, my mom made it for me," and then he flies off.
Oh, yeah. That rings a bell. I've seen something like that somewhere.
And she asked him who he is, and he says he's a friend, and that is a callback to 1978 Christopher Reeve. When Superman saves Lois with the helicopter, and he tells her, statistically speaking, it's still the safest way to travel. And she's like, "Wait, who are you?" And he says, "A friend," and takes off. So that's kind of a
dude. That is like, so you know what? I want to watch those again.
Well, if you want, we can put them on the list. We'll take a poll if we can figure out how to do that. If not, we'll just do it.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
that would be a cool one.
So The mission is scrubbed, we find out, because they blew their launch window and can't get up there in time. I don't really understand how that works. Anyway, it's just space. So it's just space. Just go. I don't know. But anyway, Superman says he's gonna give them a boost. So he just lifts this space shuttle, and we get another shot of him flying in his cape, CGI cape, going in the
Freaking
background.
flies that shit to outer space.
Yep. And we get another shot for the title sequence. So anyway, the newspaper spin, which is a callback. There's a bunch of various newspapers about Superman's feats. We see a national whisper, of course, at the end saying that how someone is having Superman's baby. She's pregnant with Superman's baby. Yep. So anyway, so back at the planet, Perry and Jimmy talk about how they can't believe that a man that flies. Perry tells Jimmy, "Don't believe everything you see on TV," which is a weird thing to say on a TV show. Anyways, he says, "Whoever pulled off this hoax like this, well, blah, 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 blah." Like I said, pulled off a hoax. I think that's a Superman the movie reference where Lex says, so in Superman the movie, this is what it is. Let me explain it properly. Lex immediately deduces that Superman is an alien because if anybody else on the planet Earth were going to come up with such a fantastic hoax as the guy that flies, it would have been Lex.
It would have been an alien.
So no, it's not Lex. So that because if Lex immediately, that's how high he thinks he is on the planet. If anybody's gonna come up with like this, it's me. So obviously he's not from Earth, because if anybody were gonna do that, it would have been me. So that's how Lex is able to deduce in Superman the movie. Anyway, I digress. So anyway, so they see them fly in. What did you think about them flying in through to the newsroom?
And this was where again? This was right after.
Yeah, this was at the Daily Planet whenever Superman flies Lois in.
That's right, because he's carrying her, and he flies through the windows. The windows open right like this, and he walks in. He sets her down. Dude,
yeah.
I mean, it was like an epic entrance, right? It's like, here you go. I am Superman. Bad. I gotta roll.
Not bad for TV, I guess. But it's like I never knew how they did that as a kid. Like with wires, like how it made it look like he came through,
flying through the window.
I think I have a pretty good idea, I guess. There's some matting involved. Anyway, I digress. So let's keep going. So Kat sees Lois swept off her feet, and she says, "Too bad he's an alien." I guess everybody just knows he's an alien already. I guess how did he hasn't said anything. So anyway, Lois says she saw him first, so she thinks that she gets the exclusive, and Superman asks her, "Is that the rule?" And a nod to, she'd be like, "Clark? Nah, nobody knows." He had to push it. He had to push it. He could have just said, "Okay."
No.
Or no. But he had to be like, "Is that the rule, bitch? You remember earlier whenever you told me whenever I was Clark?" So it's just like, she says no, but she'd appreciate it.
That's tribal knowledge. She worked here for 10 years. You know what's up.
So he says that he flies off, and she says, "How will I find you?" And he says that he'll be around. And so he kind of says the same thing. He says that a lot. "I'll be around." Says that in Superman Returns as he flies
because
off.
Nobody knows. Yeah. Nobody knows he's Clark Kent. Nobody.
Kat asks Lois what if she found out what the S stands for, and Lois says Superman. And then immediately, in typical Perry fashion, he says, "All right, everybody back to work. We got a newspaper to run. Get your ass in gear." Got a newspaper to run, people. Hurry up.
Gotta work.
All right, so this is one of my favorite Superman and Lex scenes in live action. We cut to Lex's office apartment place with the balcony, and we see Superman standing on the ledge. Lex turns around and puts on a good face and tries to applaud him and says, Superman. Haven't you heard that's what the newspaper are calling you? Blah, blah, blah. Lex is sleazy. He's trying to win him over here. Superman tells Lex that he knows who he is. And he figured out his plot. He wanted to put his own thing in space so that he would own all the patents and he would be the savior of the medical industry, all while he can jack up prices and do all this. Superman says that he will dethrone Lex. And again, as Lex just is inhaling on that cigar, man. He's
Wait,
like,
is this on this one? Because I don't remember that all happened on this very first pilot episode.
yeah, it's at the very end.
What the hell? I don't remember any of that.
Yeah, he's standing on the ledge, and he jumps down, and if you saw it, okay, but that's where Superman tells Lex, if you want to find me, all you got to do is look up, and he flies.
Okay, so I remember that part, but dude, I don't remember.
Yeah,
I just watched it again, the ending today.
It's all right. You may have just glazed over it, but I just told you what happened, so that's all right. Yeah. But anyway, he is inhaling. He is like, and he is blowing this shit, and I'm like, God damn. Have you ever done that?
Yeah, I do that. That's how I smoke. I smoke
Just all the time,
cigars
right?
like I smoke cigarettes, dude.
I should have known that. Yeah,
Every day.
Yeah,
You know that.
I did know that. I don't know why I even asked. Okay, so Superman tells Lex if he needs to find him, all he needs to do is look up. All right, so lastly, back at the planet, Lois asks Clark where he's been, and he says he's been around. Lois tells Clark how handsome Superman is, and Lois asks Clark if he's jealous of Superman. Let's see. Oh, they've got a shooting, and they've got to go. Oh, and he says jealous of Superman. It's like, yeah. Back in the 50s, like they'd be like, "Why no, Lois? I'm no Superman." And he like wink at the camera, you know. Wink at the camera is like
Rico Suave.
Anyway. They've got a shooting. See, there's that buzzing again. There it is. Anyway, they got a shooting, and Lois says that she will ask the questions, and we get Clark shaking his head and thinking, "Oh, Lois." As they get into the elevator, as the jazz plays us out to end the show.
First and only episode, right?
To play us out. What does that mean? There are no words here. To play us out. Anyway. To end the show with jazz music. Okay. So anyway, jazz music. What do you think about the music? The piano little riffs. Boom, 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 boo, boo, boo.
Yeah, I mean, it was typical, 90s drama series like that. It's gonna have some jams like that. It was, but it's good music though. It sounds good.
I think it's better than and then if they went to that, that little where he's flying, they modify it. So
yeah.
So all right.
It sounded good.
What did you think of the whole thing overall?
Overall, and again, obviously knowing some things about Superman. I mean,
what do you know about
Earth,
what do you know about
right?
Superman? Like before this, what I know, we were roommates. We've known each other for a long time, so I guess what I've but let me hear it in your words.
Okay, so like who Superman is exactly?
No, I just what do you know? You like the basic lore and everything, right?
Oh well, yeah. He's on superhuman strength. He fights against the evil. He's the good guy, right?
Yeah.
He can fly. But then like some of the backstory too, where he was like from some planet that was destroyed.
Do you know the name of that planet?
Krypton.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
And what's his dad's
Krypton.
name?
Shit. That's
okay. No, that's all right.
Icelandic
That's
name.
all right.
Eli or Elali.
What's his name? They don't ever. I don't know if they say it. I think they say it in this show.
Like Looning Kugel or something.
That's right. Looning Kugel. Kugel the
real?
Conqueror. Yep, that's right. That's his name.
Shut up, dude. Fucking
No, it's
liar.
Kal-El. Anyway, all right.
Kal-El.
Yep. All right. So anyway,
Yeah.
I got some trivia for you, LJ. Did you know that Dean Cain was the first actor to be on this from IMDb? Or IMDb. Sorry, I do that. I'm sure everybody else does.
Really?
LJ was or LJ Dean Cain.
Yeah, right.
LJ was the first actor to be auditioned. At first, he was dismissed as being too young, more of a Superboy than a Superman. Okay, we talked about Jimmy referencing Star Labs. Anyway, blah 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 blah. It talks about how much the planet cost. That neon sign cost 15,000. Yeah, the pilot was shot on 35 millimeter film.
Hmm.
So
What do we use now? Like
everything's
4K ultra high
digital.
definition, no light, intrusion video.
Yeah, yep.
Kinda-
So
that's kinda
I
what
did know this because I remember watching this. They say that two versions of this episode aired. The first, the 2 hour premiere, aired in September of 1993, and the second was a two-part version that aired in December. The two-part version had a number of scenes that were not in the original version that aired in September. Finally, the UK version aired in the UK and now available on Columbia House Video. Scenes not seen in any version originally aired on ABC. Anyway, so there's a bunch of scenes. They treated this like a movie, just in case you couldn't tell. It had a bunch of stuff that goes on. So Dean Cain is
that why
Clark.
the episode is an hour and a half.
Yeah, that's why it's
It's
because
a movie.
it's a movie. They treated it like a movie. So anyway, the cast. Dean Cain is Clark Kent Superman, Terry Hatcher as Lois Lane, Lane Smith as Perry White, Michael Landis as Jimmy Olsen. We'll come back to that. Tracy Scoggins as Cat Grant, and John Shea as Lex Luthor. Guest cast: Kenneth Tygar as Dr. Platt, Maggie Bly as Mrs. Platt, Lindsay Berkowitz as Amy Platt, Berkowitz, sorry, Elizabeth Barrendez as Lucy Lane. I have no idea. I'm sorry, I'm butchering these names. Gloria Leroy as Beatrice, and Shannon Tube as Asabi. Anyway, it doesn't mention his parents there, but they're Kay Callan and
Shania Twain.
I can't remember and Shania Twain. Yeah, but anyway, let's see. So back to Jimmy Olsen. So did you know that in season number 2, whenever the season premiere aired, there was a new Jimmy, and nobody ever said anything about it. Does that shock you to the core?
No, because I need to carry on, right?
Do you think so? Let me tell you, this is why he was let go, supposedly, because he looked too much like Dean Cain, and viewers were getting confused looking at him, and they'd be like, "Well, who's Superman? Which one is Superman?"
No
way. What did you think watching this the first time?
About their character?
Do you think that he looked like Dean Cain?
Hell no, not even resembles him at all.
Yeah,
I never thought that when I was watching this.
yeah, I know.
What the hell? Well, maybe later, maybe as he matures a little bit.
Yeah. Who knows?
I don't know.
Let's see if there's anything else on here, LJ. I don't know, man. Let's see. Yeah, John Shea as Lex Luthor. Eddie Jones as Jonathan Kent. Kay Callan as Ma Kent. Again, they're just fantastic.
You want to know a fact?
What?
The sky is blue.
That's really good, dude. Thanks for sharing that with me.
Thanks for going out on a limb.
Of course. Well, thank you for tuning into this and listening to us shoot the crap with each other about Lois and Clark, the pilot episode of Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. I wish I had a recording of John Shea saying Superman. Superman. Superman.
Superman.
Well, if we can figure out something else to do that's kind of on this vein. I'm a Superman fan, so I know a lot of stuff about that. I guess I don't know. That's what I hear around. I don't know. So we'll see.
Yeah, you're the you're the comic book genius they call you, I think, on Times Magazine.
They,
So,
that issue didn't go to print though.
oh, it's
Yeah,
okay. It was a great idea.
yeah, it was. All right. Well, we will see you next time on K.